Pierce walking wisdom, talks like he's sparking the prism. Truth splitting spectrums, no schism. He's bridging visions, reflect on a mission, seek light in this dark division. Empower our minds, no limits, just pure ambition. Conversations elevate, deep thoughts we cultivate. Sharing perspectives, connected minds we correlate. Story like a canvas, with every stroke we narrate. In a world of noise, he teaches us to mitigate. Pierce Watkins, the spark in the dialogue. Shatter misconceptions, breaking down all the fog. Unity through introspection, thick as a log. Growth in reflection, his teachings are the catalog. Understanding others, in their shoes he walks. Building bridges with words, wisdom in his talks. Every sentence a lesson, no need to squawk. Silent strength in his presence, confidence he flaunt. Thoughts are profound, diving deep, profound oceans. Shared growth in motion, fostering pure devotion. Perfected revolution, igniting our emotions. Pierce Watkins leading through storms and commotion. Pierce Watkins, the spark in the dialogue. Shatter misconceptions, breaking down all the fog. Unity through introspection, thick as a log. Growth and reflection, his teachings are the catalog.
All right. I am joined by two fellows here, Telster and Warren, and we're going to have a little conversation here. So I'm going to be kind of guiding the conversation, kind of playing moderator, I guess, a little bit. Do you guys want to introduce yourself? I guess I should have asked before we went live here, but is that a thing that you guys want to do? Sure. Yeah. Telly. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm some dude, and I like talking.
And I just realized that my audio is not capturing. So I'm going to fix that real quick.
Let's do it.
Okay. We're all fixed,
Let me know.
I think. Yep. Our audio's good.
We're all fixed.
We're all
Do I do
fixed.
the intro again?
If you want to.
Okay. Hello, my name is Telly. I am a upcoming psychology student at the University of Minnesota. I spend a lot of time thinking about the world, the current events, and learning about the world and people in all of the ways that I can. And then I like speaking to people and hopefully making a change in the world. If you find me interesting, if you find me worth listening to or making fun of, please follow me on Instagram. My name is on there. It's Telster, TELLSTE, and 3 R's. Please feel free to DM me with any of your questions, comments, or hatred. I welcome it all.
And Telly's Instagram is in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube. And also Warren's YouTube channel is in the description. And speaking of Warren, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I don't usually like give that much personal information about myself, but I can say I'm a I can say I'm a young adult libertarian conservative, and I would like to talk about the Trump second administration with Mr. Telser. Um, Telser, he's a really interesting guy, and yes, just start this conversation as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yay.
Let's get started. I guess Telly, what
Okay.
are your initial thoughts on Trump's second term?
Before I answer, there are a few important questions that I think need to be established before we start talking. Because people sometimes use words and they all mean different things. So I think it's important to ground ourselves in the things that we agree on first so that we can go on this as a basis of our conversation. So, Warren, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Just so I can understand what you have said from your intro, just so I can understand what is it that you're saying, and we're both on the same page. And if you have any questions too, I'll give you a brief info about my background and what I believe in too. Because I think we shared it privately, but also for the audience, I can do that too. So first, I'll give the introduction of my ideas since you did that in your intro. and then I'll ask you a few questions, just for clarity, just so I can understand what you mean. So first thing is I would consider myself. I don't have any particular political leniency towards any specific way. Whatever works at the time is what we should use, and sometimes that means being more conservative in certain aspects, and other times it means more liberal aspects too, or using more liberal policies. I welcome what works and what statistics, science, psychology, whatever says about what the best thing is for that situation. I believe in democracy up until a limited point. I don't think uninformed people should be allowed to make decisions, which is why I somewhat disagree with the idea of full democracy, um, unless your entire population can demonstrate some level of understanding about a specific thing, like economics, then they should not be allowed to vote on economics, in my opinion. Um, I voted for Kamala. I am a very proud individualist. I think individualism is the most freeing thing in the world, and it provides the most value to the entire world. Um, yes, that is my perspective. I will ask you a few questions. What does conservative libertarian mean to you?
Conservative libertarian means, so first, conservatism in, like for example, American conservatism means to conserve the American Constitution. So to conserve the individual freedom and to conserve free market. So all individuals' freedom. So like free market, like civil rights and other rights that doesn't violate individual freedom, free
Okay.
speech, gun rights, and other rights like another like um, individual rights. So individualism, because like
Okay.
the founding fathers just wrote the constitution based on individualism and classical liberalism. So that's why conservative libertarianism is like
Okay.
to just having a strong border and sometimes some limited intervention. Because I cannot say I'm a full libertarian anarcho-capitalist because I say, oh, uh, Israel is being productive to America, and America sometimes should help Israel, and also America should have a strong border.
Okay. Are you a US citizen? Or not a
No,
US citizen? Are you currently living in the US?
no, I'm not in the U.S.
Okay. Got it. That's all the questions I have. So,
I only read.
huh?
I said I only read
You only read.
about the U.S.
Okay. Okay. Can I ask
But that's like a
why
nerd, but
are you invested into the politics of the entire world or just particularly the US?
just the U.S.
Okay.
mostly, but also Middle
Canada.
Eastern geopolitics.
Okay. I'm assuming because you're Middle Eastern.
What?
Are you Middle Eastern?
I'm originally Middle Eastern, yes, but I live in Europe.
Okay. Can I ask why are you interested in US politics particularly?
Because U.S. is the strongest country in the world, and it affects all countries across the world.
You said fix?
Yes, impacts all the countries across the world. Because if you does some policies, and then the whole world will see the effects and the impacts of those policies.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. I think that's all the questions I had. Um, I guess to start
So
off
you
then
said you voted for
oh sorry.
Kamala.
Yes, I did.
So what made you to vote for Kamala? That's an interesting question.
I in any situation where you give me the choice between a proven felon and between someone who's not a felon, I will always choose the not the felon.
Okay, so yes, so maybe some people. So so for example, you say sometimes maybe like the Department of like Justice, they're like prosecuting some people like falsely, and for example, like Biden, he thought that Trump is going to like prosecute all of the whole Biden family, and he just pardoned like his entire family. So sometimes they're just using their political power to do something really off the law and just persecuting instead of prosecuting someone.
Can I
Okay.
help you
Of
out
some
with a? I'd like to interject here, Warren. I want to help you out with a really good question that you could ask Telly here, and I'm going to ask him on your behalf. Telly, if you were to find out that Trump was prosecuted and um, found guilty as a felon, but he wasn't actually guilty, like he didn't actually do it, would that have changed who you voted for or it influenced it?
Being a felon goes beyond being convicted for something. Goes beyond that. If you look at Donald Trump's the way that he carries himself, the way that he expresses himself, it's that of a man who is willing to do anything he can to reach his goals, including lying and cheating. So when I say felon, I don't need a conviction order in order for me to know if someone is willing to do crimes in order to reach their objectives. We have video evidence of him bragging about such things. We have evidence of people in his campaign willingly making statements about, yes, he is committing a crime. So
So
to, no, hold on, I'm not finished. So felon, there's nothing, I think, unless you can go back and change the way that Donald Trump carries himself and the things that have happened outside of the courtroom. Um, in that situation, yes, I would change my mind, but that would be a completely different person.
yeah, for example, Russell Ulbricht, he didn't like do any crimes, but he just sentenced to uh, 2 life sentences, and like he was a convicted felon, but he didn't do anything wrong.
So does
He
that mean
just,
everyone who is in prison right now is not supposed to be there?
like I said, he just got convicted because of some political reasons, and he didn't do anything wrong. So he just used the free market to just create a
How do you
website,
how
and
how
then
do you
other people just abused his website and just sold like a Heatman's and also some like uh,
how
Six
many
Legs or whatever.
situations have you been in where you had to make a decision whether you start up something that will it's not the fact that hold on, actually, let me rephrase that. Did he know that his website was being used to solicit illegal drugs and criminal activities?
So maybe he knew, but my whole
What do you
question
mean
is
maybe? No,
when
no,
you're
no, no,
talking
no.
about
Mm-mm. You cannot make space. You cannot It's either a yes or a no. Do you think someone in that position, if you were to take a population of 100 people in that situation, how many of them would be able to tell that they are producing an infrastructure that allows for illicit activities? Because doesn't everyone know around about the Silk Road? So if he's the one making it, isn't he seeing what his website is being used for? So is it a
he
maybe?
saw
Is
that
it a
what
yes
his
or a
website is
no?
being used for, but
So
what
once
like
the illicit
the
activity
the
started,
people use
do
like
you
that
think
in a false way.
do you think he knew?
So just create a website that other people like let other people to just do whatever they want in that website.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely. But there was a point in time in which he would have to know, right? Because this kept going for a long time. Do you think at some point he knew his website was being used for illicit activities?
so maybe yes, maybe no. Who knows? So
What do
maybe
you
I
yes,
think
he
you
knows
guys
what
might be
his
talking
website is being
past
used
each
for.
other here.
I think it's important for us to talk past each other because I want this is for the audience. I want them to see what is going on. This person is not answering hypothetical questions. Why can't you answer? If you were in that situation, would you be able to tell if your website was being used to do illicit activities?
So if my website is being used for those things, I would just continue my website because those people are abusing my website to uh, use that in some in some bad ways. So
Absolutely, I agree.
that's not
You
my
didn't.
duty to stop people from
Absolutely.
trading the things that they want.
Okay, what if it's something that you don't want? Would you still let them trade?
Something that I don't want, but that's my choice. So they are trading in my site, so I have the right to just remove them.
Okay. So then why did illicit activities continue to exist on his website while he knew everything was going on?
So he just didn't remove because um, he just didn't want to violate the free market on his website. For example, I just want to tell you, for example, on Twitter, some guys like I don't know, like Suleiman guy, like Dr. Lupus, some other pro-Palestinian people. So they're just saying something really hateful, and they're getting demonetized. And that was from Elon Musk's decision, who said, "Oh, they should get demonetized." So that's
Absolutely.
like that's an owner decision to
Absolutely.
say, "Oh, who should
Absolutely.
just trade, who shouldn't trade," because you are owning the site, you are the owner.
You told me in the introduction two things that I want to highlight. You are a conservative libertarian. One. Two, you don't believe in full free markets and full capitalism. Correct, right? You said specifically you
I do
believe
believe,
in.
but I
Let me
say
finish.
when there is no.
Finish. You keep interrupting me. Let me finish. Yes, you've said that. Absolutely, right? You believe in individualism and individual right, correct?
Yes.
Do you know that website was used for sex trafficking?
So the website that you use for sex trafficking, so you say, oh, that clients, they're saying, oh, so no minors use that website. So, for example,
Sure,
some
no
adults
minors use
use
that
that website
website,
for sex
but the
trafficking,
people that
and
would
those
sell
other people said,
sex
"Oh, we want to use, we want to came to you." So the deal made outside of the website, not inside of the website. Like there was no minor inside of the website. So that was a man who had like a minor who had a like sex slave and said, "Oh, we just have to make a deal outside of our website." So the website was just a way to set a
to
meeting and
to
then meet each other outside
to
Let's.
to
in
do.
real life.
I
No, I think
wonder.
this is really important. I'm sorry, Piers, for very quick, just for people to understand what this person just said. This person just said, I am not, someone would not be complicit in a situation where their infrastructure, their site, maybe not for the entire thing, but just for a part of sex trafficking minors, that person should not be held accountable for that because they
Hmm,
didn't do it, because it didn't happen on their site. But part of it did, and they know that.
it's interesting,
So
Telly.
how does this protect individual rights? I'm not seeing the connection here.
If Telly, if
Um,
sex trafficking had happened on a different website, maybe a larger website, and it wasn't something as taboo as the Silk Road. Let's say it happened on Instagram. I mean, I'm sure maybe that has happened on Instagram.
Yeah,
Do you think
yes, there are
that
many sex
corporation
trafficking
should
on
be
Instagram.
held accountable for?
if you can prove in the court of law that they knew about it, absolutely.
Okay, it's all about knowing
So
about
yes,
it.
so there are many sex
Yes.
traffickers.
If you
I,
didn't know
I
about
saw
it,
many sex traffickers
how
on
can I
Instagram.
hold you
They messaged
accountable?
me. They said, "Oh, so there are many spam accounts that are messaging people and say, oh, we have minors, we have this, we have that on X, on
That is
Instagram, and also,
completely
uh,
different because nowhere on this, everyone knows this is where you go to solicit these illegal activities. Everyone knows this. So how can he not know? Nobody goes on, it's not everyone that goes on Instagram. There's always going to be bad actors. But if your entire user base is 60, 70% bad actors, at some point you are responsible. You are hosting a platform for this. And you are being irresponsible by saying, oh, I didn't do it, so therefore I'm not responsible. If you hold the space, for example, if you hold the meeting and people get sick or some accident happens in that, and you are the organizer, you are accountable for those people's safety because you are telling them to come to my space.
So I just have a question for you. So I know some accounts and also Discord. Okay, so they just said,
Is
oh, we have
Discord
some spaces,
marketed as
so we
a
have some
sexually
servers.
trafficking place? Or do they,
So
or
yes,
do,
but
I
for
can
example
give
on
you
All
Discord,
right, you guys
examples
are
of
so
talking over each
Discord.
other. Hold on, hold on. You guys are talking over each other. Nobody can hear anything. Before we proceed any further, I want to see how this relates to our topic at hand. So we're talking about Trump's second term, talking about Silk Road.
Pardon this person. That's why it's related.
Gotcha. Okay, I didn't catch that. So I'm
Sure,
up to
this
speed
thing.
now. Okay.
Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead. My bad.
Good, Warren. You're muted, Warren. If
yeah, I just muted because I wanted to tell her to finish. So I said that there are also sex traffickings on Discord. So the Discord owner should um, be accountable for the actions that they're happening on Discord. For example, sex
Discord
trafficking.
Discord knows about this, and it is actively saying in its policies how it is against the use of their platform for this. Not only have they publicly made that statement, but they are also actively banning anything that gets reported as eliciting any of these kinds of activities. If
So
you
yes,
go
but
on there,
if you
if
don't
you look up,
report that the sex trafficking maybe happened,
okay, but does the Silk Road had a did it have a report button? Does the Silk Road specifically say you cannot use my platform for these kinds of activities?
so so even like that website was a dark web, and not like normal people are
Why
going
do
to be
I have to
are
answer
going
your
to visit
question?
dark web.
You do not answer mine.
What was your question? Can you repeat that, please?
Did the Silk Road have any pub statements on their website to say that we do not allow these kinds of activities? Did the creator or the moderators of Silk Road have active evidence of them banning people that do these kinds of activities?
So I don't know like the terms of using those site. If you know, you can just tell me because um, if the terms was saying about, oh, we're not allowing sex trafficking, so yes, no one just reported sex trafficking. But if they didn't write anything about sex trafficking, so that was on dark web. Dark web gives more freedom to people to come up here. But the people who are just making the deal for sex trafficking are two adults. An adult who has a sex slave and an adult who is the client.
How do you verify someone's age through the dark web?
How can so so that's a good question. So they don't know. They don't actually know how old is that person. So how can they know? Because on dark web, should you require, for example, ID card? Because people they don't want to show their ID cards on dark web because dark web like it's the most dangerous place. And if they
Why
say,
is it
"Oh,
dangerous?
do we trust that website?" If we show our ID card, so they will come after us, and we are going to be uh, we are going to have troubles if we
What
just
would they
share our ID cards or share any personal information about our age or I don't know
who would be coming
like
after
more
them?
information about our location.
Who would be coming after them?
Your voice is your voice is too low. Could you repeat
Who
that,
would be
please?
coming after them?
So the so the so the dark web when the hackers they know like the ID card, so that they know the information of the customer's ID cards. So they're coming after them. They're just hacking their profiles because it's really easy for them. to hack the profiles of a person when they know the ID card, when they know the location, because that's dark web. That's not the normal internet. Even sharing ID card on normal internet, it's sometimes that's also dangerous. But on dark web, are you serious? So like the most dangerous hackers are on dark web. They can
Okay.
do literally anything.
And
We're going
hackers. Okay,
down an
hold on.
interesting tangent here, but
Can
I'm
I
not
can I
sure
ask
that
more
this
questions, please? I will
after
I will
this.
tie it back up. Trust me, I
You
will
want
tie
to
it all
Okay.
change the
back up.
topic, Pierce?
I don't. I want to keep
You can
going.
change the topic to another thing, like
We
about a
don't have
climate
to
stuff.
change the topic, but I would
No,
like
I want to stay here.
what I
Okay,
would like
so
to hopefully increase the productivity here. Okay, Telly, I'll let you go ahead, but I wanna say something after.
okay, hackers are like digital pirates. Would you say so?
Hackers are what?
Digital pirates. They're
Yeah,
stealing
digital pirates, and
digital pirates.
so they
Okay.
just want to steal your bank accounts, so they
Yep.
can literally steal your bank accounts when they have your ID.
I want to ask you a question. You know, you're going to a place and you're going into a building, and everyone outside the building tells you there's a lot of pirates in there. What would you assume about that place?
So I don't go there because I say, oh, my safety is under threat. And even the FBI didn't fix the dark web. Even the federal hackers couldn't fix the dark web. So there are many hackers that they are on dark web and they're just stealing other people's like bank accounts, and also they're just making profit by um by I don't know, like by stealing people's money
Sure.
and by doing
Okay.
different things. So that's their job. That's how they're making profit.
Okay. Here's my question then. If you wouldn't be willing to go in there, what kind of people do you think would hear, hey, there's pirates in there, and be willing to go in there?
So how can I say, like, oh, so that's my decision. If I want, I will go there. If I don't want, I'll not go there.
What
So
kind of people?
are you just blaming the house, like you're just blaming the apartment owner to let them in, but they just paid. They just said, oh, we want to just um do some
I'm
trade
gonna
here. We want to, like we
I'm
just
gonna ask my question
rent
again.
that.
I'm gonna ask my
We just
question again.
rent the place.
What kind of people, not what you would do, what kinds of people do you think would willingly want to go into a room like that?
So some people who just want to put their lives into risk to do some like I don't know, like dark jobs or even
Mhm.
trading some underground crypto.
What else? Is that it? Or is there more things?
So they just want to like do some dark jobs, maybe something that's illegal in federal
Okay.
level. So they just want to uh, like do something that's maybe illegal under the law. And for example, in some state, prostitution is illegal. Okay, in
What
some state,
percentage of the
prostitution is illegal.
what percentage of the dark web do you think are people that are on there to avoid persecution?
Uh, Come again?
What percentage of people on the dark web do you think are there to prevent persecution?
Prevent persecution? What percent? I don't know the exact percent. So I said
Just give me
like prostitution.
how much do you think? How much? Oh, prostitution. Okay.
I said
Sorry. I
prostitution in some
got it.
states
Got
is
it. Got it.
legal, like in Nevada is somewhat legal, somewhat illegal, and in
Okay.
some states are completely legal. But in the states that they're illegal, so the sex workers they need to go to dark web and sell their like sex work and share their number on dark web because they cannot do that in a legal way, and they have to do that illegally.
Okay. What percentage of things that you think are illegal, let's say in the US, do you think are genuinely bad things?
So what legal things are generally bad things, or
And
illegal things are generally bad things. So they just want to like so some drugs are illegal, and some people, oh, did they just want to sell some illegal drugs? Okay, and I don't have any problems with it because drugs like should be legal and just a part of free trade. Also,
do,
you know that
do you
like
think
I'm
drugs should
saying, oh,
be
prostitution should be legal too, because I
do
say
you
I'm
think
pro free market, and that person is also pro free market. So when they say, oh, there's going to be a sex trafficking, that's a private chat between two individuals, and like and there's no minors inside the dark web. If there is going to be any minors inside the dark web, they're not going to share their real information.
okay,
Because
here
no one is going to show its real information on the dark web. Because
okay,
smart people won't share their real information. Just people who don't know anything about dark web will share their real information. You know?
I want to
okay.
try something with you guys here. I really do. I know, Telly, I'm kind of cutting you off here.
No,
But
go ahead.
I see the wheels spinning here. I think we're going in a circle, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What to
We
not
can
go
just
in a circle
change the
here,
topic.
Warren? Let me get this out. Let me get this out. I think this will be helpful. I really do. I'll start with
Yeah.
Telly here, since he wasn't the last to speak. Telly, could you be as charitable as possible? Best case scenario, best steel man of your life. Represent what you believe that that Warren is telling you about Trump's pardon of the Silk Road and why he thinks that it was positive.
I genuinely cannot.
Okay. Um,
There is, I want to clarify the reasons why. All of the questions that I have asked have not been answered directly. Um, Warren keeps spiraling and just spitting out what he would do. He avoids answering my questions directly while giving me a bunch of questions that I answer. So my interpretation, not only based off of what he's saying, but based off of the way that he's answering the questions, is this is nothing terrible that can be said because this is not a person looking to find truth,
okay.
in my opinion.
Let's try to figure this out together then. Warren, why is it a positive thing that Trump pardoned this Silk Road guy?
Because he didn't nothing wrong, and that was all the things that he has done was just following the free market, and the federal laws like unconstitutionally just stop him and just prosecute him. But that was a whole Libertarian Party's goal to just free Ross. Why the Libertarian Party cared about that thing, so that they could just say, "Oh, that was another person who did some illegal things." Why the whole, why the like the third biggest political party in the U.S. is going to having some like activities, and they're putting their effort to just tell the politicians to pardon that person, like to the president, like they're pushing the president to pardon that person because that person did nothing wrong than like participating into the free market. So why
Okay.
the third biggest party of the U.S. advocated for him for 12 straight years?
I think I understand what you're saying here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think what you're saying is that because you prioritize freedom of the market, freedom in general, that is a very high priority for you, and you prioritize that over, let's say, maybe safety. And I think maybe Telly might prioritize safety, at least in this circumstance, a little bit over the absolute freedom to
No,
do as you please. Okay, Telly's shaking
no.
his head no. Did I get your part right? Do you prioritize freedom over safety, Warren?
Me, freedom over safety. Yes, I
Yeah.
think freedom over safety is important. For example, we can say like, for example, prostitution. Okay, so prostitution is not a safe job. So they can just give AIDS. They can just give like hepatitis. They can just give several sexual disease to the client. So the prostitution is illegal in some states, but I think prostitution is just a job, and like sex working is just a job, and they can just do that because like that's part of the free market. Even Pierce, that I'm saying, oh, I'm not like pro trans or something like that. I say like transitioning, like I don't like I just recognize like men and women, but they say transgender surgeries should be legal because that's part of the free market. So like that's not good for human safety. Okay, transgender surgeries, but I say that transgender surgery should be legal for over 18 because that's part of the free market. I choose freedom over safety because
Okay.
if you want to just uh, like hold people accountable for something that like it's against their freedom, so that's a choice. So both people they have consent to just choose what they want to do,
Am I
and
free
it,
to take away, steal from people? Is that one of my freedoms that's protected also? Am I allowed to steal from people?
no, you're not going to steal from people because you're violating another people's right, another individual's right. So
Okay.
I didn't say that you can steal something from other individuals. I said that like transgender surgeries for over 18, so that people consent to have the surgery and not and the doctor is going to like do the surgery. So like that's a two-way deal.
I
Also,
heard
other
you.
things
I never
there are
said
also
that you
two-way
didn't
deals.
say that.
Also on dark web. So he just like both customer and like both client
I'm going
and the
to
seller,
interject for a
they
bit.
just went to
If
dark web
this
to
person is going
just
to
make the deal.
steal 3 times more than me, I'm not going to continue this conversation.
So
Okay. Yeah.
we can just change the topic.
No, the problem is you ramble.
How about
And what
this?
like
How about this? I- I'll let me ask the questions. I will be the middleman here, and I will let's require direct, concise, short answers. Does that work for both of you?
As long as the answer is actually answering my question, you could take as long as you want.
Okay.
But my problem
yep.
is when I ask my question, you don't answer it and you speak for like a whole minute.
Warren, would you be willing to try to keep your answers concise and answer directly?
So yeah, I'm going to answer directly. You said, would you choose freedom over safety? I said yes. I would choose
Okay.
freedom over safety. And both
Okay.
sides, they consent to just do the trade that they want.
Okay. Telly, with talking about these values, so you were shaking your head when I said that you might prioritize safety over freedom. What were your thoughts about that?
You cannot have freedom without safety. If you cannot trust that this other person is selling you a car and it's not broken, you do not have freedom. If you cannot trust
Okay.
So
people
you
to
just
honestly,
consent to buy that like broken car.
just because you consent to it doesn't mean that your freedom is guaranteed. You paid for something you
Yes,
thought was a
like the
perfectly
consent
good
is the
car.
most important thing.
You're
When you can
interrupting me.
consent, you have the right to do whatever you
You're
want, not to
interrupting
like
me. You
steal,
did
because
not
you're
let
not going
me
to
finish
violate other
talking.
people's freedom.
You literally did not let me finish talking.
Okay, sorry.
Are you done talking over me? Okay, here is what I am saying. In order for you to have freedom, there needs to be safety. You know why there's a bunch of ships that is not going through the Middle East anymore? Through Egypt? Because their boats cannot be safe. Yes, they do have the freedom to choose between going that way or this way. You just lost the ability to make a choice. Your freedom has been limited. Now you lost something to be able to choose, because if you go that way, your ship is going to be damaged. Where is the freedom? Without safety.
What
Demonstrate to me where you have felt the most free, where you haven't been scared. Explain to me what that environment is like. You're never going to explain to
so
me the
you
dark web. You're going to explain to me Sweden. You're going to explain to me places like Denmark.
so
Explain
you're
to me the
telling
concept
me
of
that,
freedom
oh,
without
where is
safety.
freedom? So you're telling me where is freedom without
Where
safety.
is the most free
So when
places?
you're talking about, so okay, you're saying where is freedom without safety, right?
Yes.
So I'm telling you that people sometimes like stealing. So there's under the law, and you're just violating other people's rights. Okay, and when you're just violating other people's rights, so there should be a law to protect the safety, because you didn't consent to let other people to steal your things. Okay, like stealing, like rape, like other crimes like this. But when you consent to buy a broken car, and that like the seller is like selling the car like too cheap to you, and you're just buying a cheap car, and you know that that car would be like broken, but you're just accepting the risk, and you're just buying that car, and after that you'll see the consequences of buying that car. That's the whole thing. So when you consent to just take the risk and just like see the consequences that needed. So like that's not about like safety and freedom, because you did that action by your consent. For example, transgender surgeries. Many anti-trans activists, they're saying, "Oh, the surgeries will harm the people. That surgeries would chop off other people's like chop off men's genitalia. So that's really harmful to men who want to like do that transgender surgery." But I say, uh, maybe that's harmful, but you've chosen to do that surgery, and you have the right to do that surgery when you just when you're just when you're just at age of consent, because when you are more than 18 years old, so you have the right to do whatever you want. You have the freedom to consent to do whatever you want. So that's my thing. I just answered your question very directly. I said something that you don't consent is wrong, but something that you consent and you're just taking the risk, that was your choice. You cannot
Okay.
blame some other people because you
Absolutely.
did some bad choices.
Yeah, so if you made a decision, then you should absolutely reap the consequences of it, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So explain to me how someone goes on the Silk Road, knows that the Silk Road is used for illicit activities, knows that the FBI is actively looking at the Silk Road to prosecute people, and then gets prosecuted. Why should that person be pardoned? Shouldn't they pay the consequences of their actions?
So he didn't do anything wrong. So he was the person who had this website, and other people, like the customers and the sellers, they just visited his website, and they just had trade inside of his website. So they said, "Oh, they just did the trades, and they did all the deals outside of his website, because you cannot like send like all of the, so only crypto could be like possible, and say, oh, we are buying crypto without like paying like taxes
Or
to, no, not taxes, so you're paying some taxes to like
might be
Binance and
rambling,
other
Warren.
crypto. What?
Might be getting on a tangent here. I'm gonna help tell you out with a question here. I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
Silk Road. Let's say somebody. Let's say a lot of sellers are selling this one product. The owner of the website, he knows about it, and
Yes.
I know fentanyl wasn't a thing back when the Silk Road was popular. I don't think so, but for it's a hypothetical, so let's pretend it was. Let's say there's a certain drug that's being sold. let's say marijuana, something relatively harmless, marijuana, and it's just totally
Yeah.
laced with fentanyl. There's tons of fentanyl in it. First time you light it up, you're a goner. You're dead, right?
Yeah.
And let's say the website owner, he knows this is going on. Would he be responsible, for these people who lost their lives?
So no, because he had the website, and the person who is responsible for his life is the person who just bought the marijuana, because he chose to buy the marijuana and use the marijuana,
Okay.
and maybe the seller was like a problem, like the person who offered the customer to buy that marijuana. But the seller wasn't the problem, because he just sold the marijuana to the customer, and the customer consent to buy that product from the seller. And when that customer just used the marijuana, he knew about everything that marijuana had, and he just used it, and he just killed himself. So he had the consent, like um sorry, like he just consent to do uh to do those things, and just buy marijuana and just use marijuana and just suicide himself.
Hmm.
So he had the so he had his common brain, and he just used his brain, and he just wanted to buy that product. So we cannot blame the website owner or the seller for selling that product.
Not even the seller. Like if he just was advertising it just as
Sometimes yes,
marijuana.
sometimes we can blame the seller, because seller
Okay.
is doing something illegal, but we cannot blame the website owner, because the website owner is just making a place for someone who just wants to sell something illegal. So the website owner is saying, "Oh, this is my website. You can just come here and do whatever you want." So, for example, you're renting an apartment to a person, and that person brings like a 9-year-old, 10-year-old minors, and they're having sex with some minors there, and like that's not a house owner problem, okay?
You think the landlord should
That's a
like
tenant
be
problem.
held
That's a
responsible to report that to the police? Like if they found out?
If I find out, yes, I have the responsibility to uh
And if they
like
don't?
uh,
If
so
they
if
don't
I
report
don't,
it,
I just
are they
didn't. So
guilty?
I just didn't. So I just didn't, because that's my choice to report at the police or not.
So not reporting it wouldn't make them guilty of a crime?
So not reporting them, no, because I just ignored it. I just didn't care about that situation that's happening there.
Hmm. Are you a parent, Warren?
What?
Are you a parent? Are you a father?
I'm a father? No.
Okay. I'm gonna throw up a hypothetical. Let's pretend you're a father. A father of a I don't know, 7-year-old girl, let's say.
Ooh,
Okay.
I have a hypothetical that might work. Can I go?
I, I guess I was kind of in the middle of it. So go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I'm sorry. This is one that I think I've heard other people use. Okay. Someone is robbing a bank. You're their friend. You did not know they were robbing the bank before you dropped them off at the bank. You see them run out. They have a gun, they have a mask on, and they have the bags with them. Actually, let's scratch that. He doesn't have the gun with him. He just has the money. He dropped the gun, and you saw him drop the gun. He doesn't have any other weapons. In that situation, he gets in the car and he tells you to drive, and you drive. Did you just help rob a bank? Yes or no?
Yes, that person helped to just help the bank robber, because that person actually drive. But when you're not going to report something, that's not going to, for example, say, "Oh, that's going to help uh, that sex trafficker, or help the robber."
What if
So when
you
you're just
give
driving for the robber, so you did the crime, yes, you just help the robber. But when
Okay,
you're
you
just know who the robber was, and you're not going to report that, so you didn't do anything right and you didn't do anything wrong because you didn't do any action. But driving is an action, and that's a crime. Yeah.
okay, here's my question. Do
So,
you
but
think
you can just justify that by saying, "Oh, my life
can
was
I
under
answer my
threat,"
que
and it
you
depends
stop
on
can
how, like, the
can I
judicial
ask my
system will
question?
prosecute
You
you,
have
and
been
it
talking
depends on the
you
sentence
have
that
been
you will receive.
talking for 80% of the time, my boy. You literally just interrupted me. Can I finish asking my question? Okay. Did the Silk Road help, not help, with the illicit activities that people wanted to do, including sex trafficking, including things that are actually illegal and dangerous? Did he help them during any part of that process?
No, he didn't help directly those people to just do whatever they want. They said, "Oh, there's a website, and you can just come here." And they said, "Oh, there's a website, and we can sell our products." So they just sold their products inside of the website. So the person didn't take action inside of those trades because he wasn't participating inside of the trades. He just was the
Sure, he
website
was not
owner, and he let the
participating.
people to do whatever they want in the website. For example,
Sure, he was not
another
participating.
example I
Here's
just
my
want to tell you.
question. No,
Okay,
you already gave me an example. Here's my follow-up question then. Someone wants to sell oranges and you have space where people can sell oranges. Did you or did you not help them sell oranges by giving them the
I just
space?
have the space and say you can sell whatever you want. So
So
I just
did
didn't
would
help them
that
directly
did you
because that's
help
a space, that's a free space for
did
everyone
you
to
I
sell
didn't
whatever they
ask
want.
you whether you helped them directly or not. I just asked you if you helped them. Did you or did you not help them?
I actually like did not help them to uh, sell their oranges
Would
because
they
that
be
was like
able
a
to
free
sell their
platform to just
oranges
sell whatever they want to
if
sell.
that space wasn't available? Would they be able to sell their oranges?
No, they wouldn't be able to sell
So
their
how
oranges
can
because
you
that
say
person
that
banned them
you
to sell the oranges.
so how can you say by giving them the space they did not help them? If he did not, if I did not give this person space, I did not help them, wouldn't you assume if I do give them the space, it would help? Explain to me how it's not helping. If they are able to reach
How
their
that
goals
wasn't
by
helping.
my
Okay, I'll
decision.
explain to you. So, okay, I just want to tell you. So, when a person is going to, for example, sell something in an apartment, so the apartment owner didn't help that person to sell his products. He just rent that
What if
apartment.
the
He
owner
just
knows?
give him the place by trade
What if the
and like
owner
by
knows?
contract.
What if the owner knows now?
What if the owner knows? So that's not
Yes.
helping. Helping is when like to promote your product, to advertise your product, to just do something for your product. So helping is when you're doing something for it. But when you're just entering this website, so that's not something like, for example, helping. So for example, when a person is going to sell something in the street, like the government didn't help that person to sell something in the street because he just selling something in the street, and he just has the space to sell the products that he wanted. Okay,
If the
but
government
what he
didn't
can just
build
only
the
block
sidewalks
those people from
wait,
selling.
no, 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 no.
That's not
If the
helping. So
government
that's not just
you're
to.
rambling,
You guys
bro.
are just
Hold
talking
on.
over each other.
You're rambling. If the government did not build the sidewalks, even if it's the government that paid for the sidewalks, if the sidewalks weren't there, if people weren't already there, if the government did not build the infrastructure of the city, who would be there for him to sell to? Explain to me how the government did not help
How the government did not help? The government says,
by
"Oh,
building the
this
sidewalk.
thing is legal, and it's your decision to do whatever you want." Okay, the government says, "Oh, this is legal," and that's not our decision to tell you to sell that or to not sell that.
I'd like to finish up
Okay.
my hypothetical from earlier. I really think it might help here. because I think you guys might be talking past each other a little bit. And my example is,
No.
I think it's good. I hope. So Warren, we established that you're not a
Yeah.
father. We're gonna hypothetically make you a father of a 7-year-old girl, right? Okay.
Okay.
And she goes to a friend's house, you know, like 7-year-old girls probably do. And she goes to this house, and some unfortunate things happen. The landlord is actually aware of these things happening, and you know, since I'm streaming on YouTube, I'm not going to say exactly what happens, but things of a sexual nature happen without consent, right? Okay. And
Yeah.
so this landlord, earlier, I think you had said that he doesn't have a legal responsibility, accountability to report what's going on in his building. Did I hear that correctly?
So he doesn't have like the responsibility because he's not like helping that person. So he says, "Oh, by the contract, he just has this apartment. I just rented that apartment to like just paid his rent, and he's just going to continue his for example, um, like continue his business there. But if you just report that to police, that's a right thing. But if you not report that to police, that's you're just ignoring it. You're not like committing any crimes or help that person directly to just
Okay.
continue to do his crimes. So I mean,
Now,
like if you just like, for example, when the person is like giving a ride to like bank robbers, that's just a direct help to the bank robber. But when the person is not going to
talking about
like
my hypothetical now. Let's concentrate on my hypothetical, one hypothetical at a time. Okay, you're the father. Do you think you should be able to take legal action against this apartment's landowner
if
guy?
you're talking about moral, yes. If we're talking about morals, yes. Like that's right
Okay.
to just take the legal actions and do the right thing. But under the
Okay.
law, like you are not going to be forced to like no one forced you to do the thing um, and to like for example
I'm so
I
confused.
don't know.
I'm confused, Warren. You got to clear this up for me. Shouldn't we want our laws to reflect, you know, so
Also,
that people
could
can't
you wait,
do
please?
immoral
I have a
things?
problem for a minute. Please, I come back in a minute.
Oh, okay. Um, I guess let's just hang out, Telly, until he gets back. Do you like the hypothetical?
Uh, I did. Um, I want to say there's a certain point where a conversation is reached where I realize that someone is not trying to listen and they are just trying to talk. And once I reach that point, I want to protect my own energy. I think from the way that Warren has been conducting himself in this conversation, doesn't feel like he actually wants to engage in an open-ended conversation. There's very clear logical pitfalls in his conversation, and anyone with an entry to philosophy can clearly able to tell. So at this point, I would like to end the conversation. I think this person and his ideas are extremely dangerous, and I just want to say I'm not running away from the conversation. I'm just running away from the lack thereof, one, because this person has been speaking most of the time. And even when I ask very short, concise, yes or no questions, still rambles. This has not been a conversation.
Okay. Yeah. How about this, Telly? We can chat until he comes back, and then when he comes back, you can drop off. Does that sound like an acceptable plan? Or you can drop off right now. Either way.
Uh, if he comes back within the next 6 minutes or
Okay.
gives an update of what time he'll come back, yes, I
Okay.
will.
Fair enough. I'm assuming it's just going to be a few moments. If it's more than that, I'm probably going to end it. But
Okay.
yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah. So you're pretty dissatisfied with like how the conversation unfolded.
Mhm.
You felt like he was taking up the majority of the time, interrupting you. You had mentioned,
So,
and
unfortunately, Pierce, something really happened for me. Like I said, in an hour, and yes, like I said, we have the conversation for an hour, and yes, I expected that. And something happened for me, unfortunately, and I just want to have this conversation for a longer time, but unfortunately, something happened, and I don't know
okay,
why.
all right, that's fine. We'll probably call it
I
a
I'm so
wraps
sorry.
pretty quick here.
I would not like to continue this conversation.
Okay. Yeah, neither one of you guys
So,
want to continue,
no,
so
sir. I'm so sorry for this
No,
point of
even in the
views.
future.
Maybe my point of view is so like more like libertarian, like close to anarcho-capitalism. Sorry for my for my opinion about it. Because like I said, I'm somewhere like on social issues. Like I'm very libertarian, and I say, oh, I don't care about like many of those social issues. And maybe we can just have this conversation more complicated with asking, with setting the questions before. Thank you very much.
Mm. No, thank you.
okay. I thought he said he was leaving, and then he continued talking, so I was really confused on what the plan was there. So he left. I don't think he's coming back. Yeah. Um, do you want to debrief a little bit, Telly, or do you want to call it a wrap?
Absolutely. Let's do it. I
Debrief.
love a good
Okay.
debrief.
Okay. What we were saying was you felt that he interrupted quite frequently. You said that he
Mhm.
took up the majority of the speaking time. You said there was like some logical fallacies. He wasn't answering your questions directly. How do you think this could have gone better? Is there any way it could have gone better?
Um, I think I will reference the first time I came on here where the conversation got hijacked by that person who just wanted to to just use your platform to just
Oh
gospelize or
yes,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, and like I would ask in that situation, could there have been anything that you could have done to make it better? To
Um,
prevent that from happening. Actually, to prevent that from happening, let me say that.
are we talking about that first scenario or the scenario that happened today?
That first scenario.
The first scenario.
Was there anything, yeah.
Yeah, I think I could have something a little bit better. I think I could have interrupted more.
Mm.
I feel like if I would have let her get out a few sentences and then been like, "Okay, I understand you're saying this, blah blah blah." Ask the next question to really dig into it because I think she just kept on kind of repeating. She was kind of saying the same things over and over again.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think so because that person would have kept going to the Bible verses, right? Even if you interrupted, yes, she would have kept going back into it and you would have just made it shorter, but she still would have kept doing the same thing. So, in my eyes, there are certain people, if they're unwilling to have a conversation, then at that point, it's going to continue to be the same thing over and over again. And I think, as demonstrated by how the conversation went, it was that. There's nothing that you can do. If someone's unwilling to have a conversation, there's nothing you can do to force them to have it. Even if they say they are willing to have a conversation, it's not much of a conversation if there's no one listening.
So let's contrast this to the conversation you had with Chase. For everybody not up to speed on that, Chase is a vegan activist. Telly, I think you may have went vegan, maybe. Yeah, you did. Okay, cool.
Still working on it.
Working on it. All right. So you guys kind of had a lot of agreements. You guys basically didn't disagree, as far as I could tell.
I
And
think we did.
you did? Okay, maybe a little bit.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, there were disagreements, but because I listened to what he was saying, I was like, oh, okay, that actually makes sense. I think one of them was how he kind of positioned to say, like, hey, actually, I think if you look at it per, if you take away the subsidizations of meat, actually, vegetables are, and grains and stuff is actually significantly cheaper per calorie than meat. It's just because beef and all these things are heavily subsidized by the government. And I was like, oh, because I was listening to him, I went, oh, yeah, that's actually true. And because I'm also somewhat informed about the government's position in the meat industry, I go, oh, right, that is true. And then I acknowledge, hey, you were right, Chase. Actually, you're right. And that is the difference. It's not a complete battle where I absolutely cannot agree with the other person at all. There are some times where someone might make a point and they might be true. And if someone is unwilling to even admit that the other side might be right about things, then that's not a conversation.
So I think what you're describing is humility. Maybe there wasn't enough humility in this
I,
conversation that happened tonight.
I wouldn't say humility, I would say self-awareness.
Hmm. Maybe we're describing the same phenomena with those
I think
words.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are.
Okay. Hmm. How do hmm. How do we invoke humility?
You can't,
I do
especially
have.
not to someone who doesn't know you completely,
I
who's
think it's
already
really
coming into
difficult.
the This is the thing about the internet, though, that before they click on, they know what is going to happen. Like, for example, your title tells people what they are ready to see. So people will naturally come in already with their guards up, you know? The way you get to people to actually change their mind, it's not at the moment where they're ready to defend themselves. It's when they are the most vulnerable. And that's the difficulty of having these kinds of conversations online. It's because everyone's coming into it ready to defend themselves instead of ready to change their mind.
I agree with that.
So,
I agree with
so
that.
I shift my perspective from changing the person's mind to illustrating their inability to be logically consistent. And then
Hmm.
at that point, I let the viewers decide because also some of the people who are here to might have the same exact perspective and are here to defend. I don't know. I just see a profile picture of these people. I have no idea, right? My goal is not to change the minds of the people that are unwilling to change their mind. My goal is to change the ones that are willing to. And they might not be the person that I'm talking to, and that's okay.
Uh, Interesting. Yeah, I tend to take a little bit of a different approach. Obviously, this scenario with both of you, with me trying to steer a little bit to some degree, a little bit more difficult for me in this particular situation.
Sure.
Obviously, um,
Yeah.
I tend to try to model what I call humility. You might call it something else. I forgot what word you used, and I try to model that, and I try to create and I don't want people to take this the wrong way. I want to create a safe environment. And when I say safe, I don't mean an environment where everybody will be comfortable. I don't want you guys to confuse safety and comfort. When I say safety, I really mean a situation where people will be able to be heard, because that's something that's really important to people, that their views be heard, and that I guess their views don't be shouted down upon or misrepresented or et cetera, et cetera. And that's really something hard to demonstrate to someone, right? Like to say, okay, these things aren't going to happen, but this conversation overall, since we have different views, it might be uncomfortable. You're shaking your head, Telly. Is it a shaking the head
Sorry,
no?
I'm just thinking, sorry.
Okay.
Keep going, keep going.
Okay. Um, yeah, so I think that's my strategy anyway. I don't know that like
Uh,
exposing logical fallacies necessary. I mean, yes and no.
um, here, two things. I 100% agree with you. Um, here is the thing that I would add is I think everyone's voice should be heard, but it should be weighed. For example, if we are having a conversation about economics and it's two people on the stage talking about it, I would really love to know their credentials. Because if one of them has a PhD in statistics or economics, and the other one also has a PhD, but in sports science, I'm gonna probably think more about this person's perspective a little bit more honestly than that person.
Yeah.
And yes, everyone should have a voice. The problem with the internet and the problem with people that remain anonymous about either their personal information or certain aspects of their belief or where they're from, that's kind of like two people going on the stage and you have no idea which one has done anything in their lives or where they're pulling this information from, because experience is another form of contextualized education, right? So when I'm looking at a stage and I don't know who's who, and they're both wearing suits, it's really hard to keep it safe because in that situation, people might end up getting the misinformed, not, it might not be false, but just giving the pretext that these people are both educated, right, already sets them up to be conditioned to not get the most of the truth. So I believe in Wade. Everyone should have a voice, absolutely, but it should be weighed. And I don't think it should just be by education, it should be by experience, which is why I think people should be more public about their life experience and stuff so that I can know where it is that you are coming from. Where did you learn this? Which is why people are so drawn to those celebrities or artists that go from like rags to riches. It's like, whoa, that makes them so much more personable so that you can trust their depiction of the struggle in their music more. I think it should be the same with online discussions and spaces that give everyone the right to speak. You should be able to prove why you are saying what it is and why you think it's true.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I disagree with that. I think we're on the same page.
Yes.
Um,
It's hard to do weights though on the internet. Really, really hard.
yeah, I suppose. We
So
got a few directions we could go with this
sure,
conversation. I see one
let's
where
do.
I could role play as Warren, and we could try that.
I don't
Um,
think I would like that.
I'm
It
not gonna
scares me.
I'm not gonna act like Warren. I'm going to represent his views. Um,
Um, I think for me that one is such a no-brainer that it would be boring.
hmm,
I would
okay,
rather something a little bit more um ethically gray.
okay. Um, aside from that idea, I could invite Deflux. I think he had some
Yeah,
words to say. Should do that. All
I
right,
would
let's do
love
that.
to. I have a bit of suspicion that he may be a libertarian.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
you have a suspicion.
I have a high
I don't know if I
suspicion.
am a libertarian,
Okay.
but so obviously you said his ideas were very dangerous. He came back and he said, "I apologize for my libertarian views. Are libertarian views dangerous?"
No, I would say most of my leniencies towards policies, especially policies around people, actually is significantly libertarian. I think people should be allowed to do whatever they want as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else.
I did share I join in slightly towards the end of the conversation, but specifically, what out of his ideas were dangerous to you, or the most dangerous? What made
First and
you
foremost, first and
go ahead?
foremost, he did not say that he was a libertarian. He said he was a conservative libertarian.
Okay.
Those two words mean the complete opposite from each other. How can you put them together? How can
So
you be
it, so
pro free? How can you be pro
that's why it's
freedom?
dangerous.
It's dangerous because it's masking as something that it's not. He's representing his viewpoints as being pro freedom, when in actuality, his viewpoints are actually very damaging. Because if, for example, just For the infrastructure, for example, if you cannot trust the infrastructure to safely protect you as a person, you do not feel free internally. That like that sense of freedom that people have to be like, oh, I can do what I want. People in those environments feel less free. And those places are pretty anonymous. Those places have a bunch of dangerous things going on. And I think these kinds of views leads to those kinds of societies. I think, yeah, freedom is good up until a certain point. Just like drinking water is good until a certain point. Drowning is not a good thing, but you're drinking a whole lot of water, my boy. So it's that same concept. Even if the water was completely filtered, okay, it's the best water, it's vase, and you drown in it, it's still bad, my boy. So too much of anything can be bad, and I think too much freedom to where it lets other people do whatever they want to you is bad. And allowing for those spaces, even if most people aren't using it like that, if a certain percentage of people do it, you should be responsible to at least at the minimum take those parts out. I think there are new sites on the dark web that specifically only allow specific kinds of illicit activities, which is drugs, no prostitution and selling of like counterfeit goods and like third party or reproduced things. Those spaces that illicitly say no, none of these things that lead to other people potentially being infringed on their rights. Oh yeah, absolutely, I support it. Nowhere did I say I'm not for the dark web. Nowhere did I say I'm not for the sale of illegal drugs or illegal things. I'm just saying the ones that are more likely to infringe on people's rights and freedom, like sex trafficking, um, those like murder for hire, those kinds of things I'm not for. Yes.
So it sounds like that it's not so much your ideas you find dangerous; it's the fact that he's disingenuous, he's contradicting himself, he's not consistent, and you find that dangerous as a concept for individuals to take on that mantle and then be
Yes.
contradictory.
Yes, because those people make illogical decisions and those people vote illogically.
I mean,
And
obviously
that,
there is in the United States, we would say liberals on the left wing, and then we do have like libertarians on the right wing. So there definitely is conservative libertarians, and there are definitely liberals or left wing libertarians, right?
sure, but I would never use the word like that. I would say this is someone who's libertarian, but maybe less libertarian than the extreme. I would just label that as something differently. The same way we label there's liberalism and then there's progressivism. And then there's
Mhm.
another thing for it. I would never put the two words that are completely different together. Why are we labeling it as something different? That's where I'm like, okay, this person might be masking what their true beliefs are.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was my question. I was just curious.
Those
But
are some good questions. You should
I
talk to people
appreciate it.
more. You're good at asking questions.
I hang out in the Discord. You can.
You should try to get paid to
Sometimes,
do it.
well, I don't know about that. Sometimes I
You
get in
should.
trouble for talking so much.
No, that's perfect. Use that as clips. Get them angry so
Yeah,
you could put it on YouTube Shorts and get the engagement.
yeah. Every now and again, I stream on Twitch, but very, very rarely.
Okay, you should send me a Twitch.
Yeah.
I will watch it if you're streaming.
Yeah, last time I streamed was like literally 2 years ago.
All right.
Maybe I mean, yeah. Anyway,
Okay, cool. It was nice to meet you. I will add you. You're a cool guy.
Well, you're right. I think if actually, from the last time you were on this
Oh
particular
yeah.
venue, I did already add you.
Right.
So
That's why
you're
I
okay.
couldn't add you just now. I just tried to. It's good to
Yeah.
know.
All right, I'll hop off stage. Thank you so much for answering those
Of
questions.
course.
Yeah, thanks for coming up.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if you know, Pierce, there is a war going on in your chat.
Yeah, I don't have it open, and
Uh,
yeah, it would have probably been too distracting for me anyways. But
sure.
yeah, I've seen some of the previews of the messages, so I'm sure stuff is going down.
This is so fun. I love people. People are so entertaining.
All right, is there anything else you want to add before I end the stream?
I genuinely had so much fun. That was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I do. I did. I I think the one thing I will add is I don't think anyone that necessarily has any of these views are bad people. I just think they're misguided. And some of the times it's just because they didn't have access to the same kind of education that, let's say, rich people would. It's a product of a broken system. And not recognizing it as such can be very dangerous in my eyes. To treat these people as if they're they don't need help. You know what I mean? Like, for
Mm.
example, we have people that have mental disorders, and the world in which we pretended like they were just like everyone else, that led to bad things for these people specifically. So when I see people that are hurt either from having a bunch of bad things happening in their country or being negatively impacted by things outside of their control, because if you take away someone's sense of control away from them, especially when they're young, it really messes up with people's development. What we are seeing is the product of that just be materialized in all around the world. And whether they're conservative or liberal, white, black, doesn't matter. Can you take the toy away from Momo, please? No matter what they are, where they are, this is a human issue that I've been seeing exemplify itself more and more as we've gotten more and more towards I would say conservative views of taking away people's rights to make their own decisions. And if we don't view these people as needing to be helped, we are doing them a disservice already by saying they are okay. And that is my viewpoint, which is why I don't just treat it as it's an equal conversation. If I know this is a person who probably is not having the best experience in life, because I'll be so honest, I've never seen someone be happy and also be extremely concerned about their privacy or feel safe. People that want to be private tend to not feel safe, and people that tend to not feel safe tend to not be happy. And
Mm.
I'm just seeing that. And it's sad because I think we can be helping these people by saying, I see you for who you are.
Interesting. You know, we gotta have a stream where we talk about this. Yeah. We need to talk more
Absolutely.
in depth about this.
Please, I love in-depth conversations where both people on both sides are listening. It's so fun.
All right. So I think what I'd like to do here is we got a few people in the room. I'm gonna end the
Sure.
stream, and then maybe we can jump into voice chat for a little after show.
Let's do it. Yeah,
All right.
that means I'll get to doodle.
All right. I'm gonna end the stream.
If you've watched this far, you know what to do. Don't miss what's next. The choice is on you. Stay in the loop, keep your feet in line. Hit that bell, catch me live next time. It's simple, it's quick, but it means a lot. Stay connected, see the moves I've got. No promises, no fluff, just what's real. Subscribe and the updates seal the deal. Subscribe, hit the bell and I'll see you. The stream's done now, but the content won't stop. So stay in the loop till I'm back at the top.